transportation, which I didn't discuss. Yeah, I mean, it's like the whole. So just keep passing around till everybody's signed in. Okay, the next thing we're going to do then is, and of course we need those back this morning. Then at the end of the day, we'll pick these up. This has the MSHA. Each person gets this packet, the second packet. Each person gets a packet. If I made a paper airplane, it would probably go backwards, not over there again. So, you got the IMSA refresher. You got the Central Plains site specific. The first page is just material. The second page, down at the bottom, print and sign. And then the third page is the Kimberly-Clark form. Be sure to initial down that column all of those topics and then print and sign at the bottom. And those we'll need at the end of the day.
You gotta hand those out now.
Yeah. Would you like some?
I just asked for what they're saying, but I see those from.
Okay, I decreased the resolution, and it's been staying green. This is coming back. Yeah, it's bouncing back and forth. So.
Okay, be patient with us. We're trying to start this. We're trying to do a web stream with Lawton so that they can join in on it, as well as record this, so that there are some people that weren't able to be here due to shutdown and whatnot, absent, sick, or whatnot. We can bring them in as a group later and replay this whole day, so they can be twice as bored as you.
No, never.
Yes.
Okay, I think we're ready to go. Yeah. Something Gina said earlier, if you guys could help us out. This would all work great, except we have to be over the Wi-Fi here at the hotel, which we're sharing with everyone else at the hotel. They'll give you the access code to the Wi-Fi up at the front desk, but if you'll do us a favor and don't connect to the Wi-Fi, that would help us out a great deal, because if we have 50 people connected to the Wi-Fi, you're sharing bandwidth with us, and that's what we need right now to try and get it uploaded and streamed down to Lawton. So, but thanks for being here today. This is our annual safety refresher course. A lot of times we call it our MSHA annual refresher course. For those of you who aren't familiar, MSHA is the Mine Safety and Health Administration. They have more specific rules about how the training has to be conducted each year. So we model this training off the MSHA requirements, but it also covers all the other training we need to do. MSHA covers a couple of sites we work at, mainly just Central Plains, but sometimes there are a few others. And at those sites, even though we don't do any underground work, we only work in the quarries when we're escorted, supervised, but MSHA considers anyone that works at an MSHA site, so they take control of the site, anyone that works there, from the secretary to the janitor, all the way to the person that works at a coal mine, mile below the ground, they are all classified the same. They are all classified as minors. MSHA considers everyone minors. And so this training is the Mine Safety and Health Administration minor training, but they allow it to tailor it. We don't cover working underground, things like that. They allow us to tailor it to our occupation. So we tailor it just to electrical work, and it covers all the requirements. Here's kind of outline what we're doing today. I'll talk a little bit. I don't know, Gino and Clint may say something here at the beginning. I'll do some company stuff, show you some changes we've made on the website, changes we've made that helps us get information to you. Hopefully, a couple steps down the road help make your jobs easier. I'll cover that. David will cover fall arrest requirements, fall arrest harnesses, take a break, then do a brief section on ladders, ladder safety. That's one of the required elements for MSHA. Then throughout the day, we're going to do several customer site-specific training. Whirlpool, Central Plains, Kimberly-Clark. So we'll go over specific requirements they have that'll get everyone up to speed. So if you work at any of those locations, you'll be good to go. And then John Greife's going to do our diversity training. It's a training, it's required every 2 hours, every 2 years. It's required to do this type of training. But it's also important that it kind of fits in with the philosophy of a great workplace, that it doesn't matter who you are, where you came from, if you're here, if you're a professional, which we know you all are, that kind of sets the rules of conduct. It's and it helps make a great workplace. Lunch, after that, Gino go over the employee manual, a few things with Clint, then Central Plains, Kimberly-Clark. Then we'll go over the required elements for the MSHA review, things we have to cover, and then a little bit on distracted driving, a presentation from our insurance company, and then I'll cover electrical safety. So we try to mix up presenters, try to keep it as fast-paced and entertaining as we can, and then we'll do our paperwork and get out of here.
Okay, real quick. A lot of you guys have done this with us year after year. We're checking safety equipment again in the back. We've got Joey and Billy and Jeremy working on that. Blake and I will be back there. We're going to work on an additional web access point for you guys to catch some additional information. An interactive page that Mike's set up where you guys can get manuals and references and things that you might need, not only for the job, but on a personal level, insurance documents, whatnot. We can upload stuff there. Gives you an opportunity to grab it and print it and have that stuff readily available to you. So we're going to be doing that in the back. Again, we go through this every year. It's long, it's boring. If you guys can just help us out and get through it. We've got the Lawton guys trying to sit in and listen on it. We're working on that. After lunch, we'll hit it as hard as we can, and then we'll try and finish up early, hopefully.
Like you said, I mean, we're all construction workers. I know you guys don't like sitting around all day. I don't either. But this is very important, very necessary for the business we're in. Safety is our #1 concern, and all of our customers demand it, and we do as well. You all want to go home at the end of the day, so you might have heard a lot of this. Feel free to be interactive. Speak up whenever you got something you want to add to whatever we're talking about, and stay awake and listen.
Yeah, and at any point, if you guys need to stretch your legs even while we're talking and grab a cup of coffee, you're welcome to stand up, watch from the sides, watch from the back, whatever. If you need to move around, that's fine. I know this is a little unusual having to set this long a stretch, so feel free to move around when you need to. Okay, so here are the things I'm covering. I'll go over some management training topics we went over, show you a couple website additions we've made, show you some tools that I guess it started with the AEP. Other customers have used about measuring how to measure a company performance. We'll talk about that a little bit, and then show you a new online website we have, the X-Cart. This is some information I went over with all the project managers a few months ago, and I thought it'd be good to share it with you guys kind of quickly, but kind of tell you why we're here. We're construction, in electrical construction, but why we're here. Our mission is powering business and powering employees. And what I mean by that is that we do work, we try to do the work that's important for other people. I really like to think that we do work that puts other people to work, that we help companies put in equipment that keep them profitable and making money, putting other people to work. You know, working at AEP, we're making electricity that kind of powers the whole industry, and whether it's paper, food, we're doing jobs. Of course, occasionally we'll do the job fixing a receptacle in the bathroom, whatever, something like that, so someone could dry their hair. But that's kind of not the norm for us. The norm is we're doing work that creates and builds the economy, and that's what I mean by powering business, powering industry. Our vision to be the premier industrial electrical solutions provider in the region by providing world-class service, well-engineered solutions, and exceptional value to our customers. So you guys do a great job on all of those. Whether it's the service, you guys are you're building things, but just as equally important, you're customer service representatives. You're doing something that someone else wants, whether the plant, the engineer, whatever, that we're delivering to them something they want. Well-engineered solutions, and that goes beyond just what we do. When I say we, as engineers, I'm engineer, so it goes far beyond sitting down and drawing something. The field modifications you guys do in the field, the things you come up with, that is as important, if not more important, to the things that show up on the paper. That really is what gets it done. And an exceptional value to our customers. We've said before, we try to stay at the top of the pay range, pay you guys the best we can at the top we can. The flip side to that is that we're rarely the cheapest. That on any given day you can go out and find companies that will be less expensive than we are. But where we make up for that and what makes it good for our customers is we're the best value. That those customers do work that isn't going to stand the test of time, isn't going to last, causes problems, causes maintenance issues. So they may save $100 now on an installation, but once a week for the next 2 years, the maintenance guy has to spend 2 hours messing with it. In the end, that turns out to be far more expensive. And then finally, the customer focus, providing electrical services for industrial customers. When people ask me what we do, what our company does, I say that we are an industrial electrical contractor. I said for industrial type customers, manufacturing plants, companies that make anything, we do everything electrical, from the tiniest signals flowing over fiber optics, all the way to the incoming power at 13,000 volts. So anything electric in those type of facilities we can do. And I think we fulfill on that statement pretty well. Values, I think it's important to touch on these. I know this is small and you guys probably can't read it, especially down in Lawton. I know it'll be a big blur here, but I'll hit on the important ones here. What's important? Safety. It's our number one value, number one priority. That nothing we do is worth an injury. That anything we do can and will be done safely. I think within this last year, you've seen different safety cultures at different sites. We've tried to maintain our standards the same, but if you take Oologah, for example, which worked, I'm trying to think how many hours they worked there, a couple 100,000, not including all contractors.
Yeah, it was like 120-something thousand, wasn't it?
Yeah, it may have even been more than that. I mean, it is essentially 200 to 300 people for a year worked there, and they had just a small handful of injuries. And considering the work that was done there, swinging steel, making huge lifts, some of the biggest cranes you'll see on construction sites lifting huge things, that there were numerous opportunities for things to go wrong and to get someone seriously injured. And they did it with a very, very minimal number of injuries. None from us. Fluor had just a few. And any time there was an injury, they really focused in on it and made changes to keep workers safe. They were extremely focused on that. And in the end, it doesn't end up costing more money. I know we usually have to go through a few more steps to do it. But I think we view it as you're not wasting money or losing time taking those extra steps, because all the workers, everyone on the site feels better about doing their job. They stay motivated that they're working for a customer that truly does care for them. They want a quality product, but they also are going the extra step to make sure that your work environment is safe. And second is that they don't have any money in lost wages, lost time, lost injuries, and in those things you can't calculate the severe injuries. How do you put a dollar on that? It costs a lot of money, but then you also have I guess the moral guilt associated with it. So it really doesn't cost more money to do things safely. The contrast, I think, is job site some of you guys worked on down at GRDA, where we were maintaining our standards, but we were working around a lot of people that weren't, and they had many more injuries. They had the explosion that injured a couple welders, or they're cutting something. That was early on. Several weeks later, a guy died at the site, and I'll say on that one, I don't know if they've officially said, I don't think it was necessarily on the job related. He was in an area he shouldn't have been. He really had to work to get to where he was. So I don't know if that one wasn't necessarily on the site, but the overall safety culture there was not good. And I heard it from some of the other project managers there, the construction management crews there, that the overall attitude at that work site, they said ICO employees are the only ones that have a good attitude out here, that everyone else has a horrible attitude, miserable, and I think it relates, that you view that the company you're working for doesn't care about you as much, and I think that relates to your attitude and your performance. Back to the values that we put are important to us. Trust, loyalty. We like to have repeat customers. That on loyalty is one. I've said it before. I think it's important to say that once we commit to do a job, we're going to do it right and do it right to the end. Even if it means that we've goofed something up and we're bleeding money, whatever. I will take a loss on a job much more easily than doing a job wrong. So when it comes to those decisions like, we goofed, we forgot this thing, and it really needs to be here if we're going to do it right, the decision is always, no, get it. We're doing it right. We'll deal with the consequences later. Fortunately, that's a rare event. We're good at our jobs, and that doesn't happen often. But we don't sacrifice our quality and our reputation for money and on the short term. That we're here for the long term. To do things right. Also important, value, ethical considerations. We say we treat you guys like we'd want to be treated. We do the same thing to our customers, that I view their money the same as my money, that if I can save them money, I do, and if I can find ways to save them money, different changes, different ways of doing things, we do that as well, that we treat them the way we would want to be treated. These are what I consider our management responsibilities. First, to our employees, that our job as managers is to empower everyone that works there. Everyone in the field, everyone working out in the field, you're essentially our product. We're not a manufacturing place. We don't make something, put it in a box and ship it out. That we do stuff, and because we do stuff, that means you're our product. You're what we sell, and without you, all we have is an idea. We don't have a product. I like to say, you don't work for us, we work for you. It's our jobs to make your jobs easier and make you able to do your jobs. For customers, again, our focus is to make them stronger, to deliver value. And in the company, the responsibility is profit. We have to make money in the end. That's how we survive. But I don't put the focus on that. I figure if we do number one and number two correctly, number three will fall into place. It's not to say you ignore it. You have to be aware of it. And some of the things we'll cover here in a bit, it will kind of give us some tools coming down the road to help us monitor our performance a little better. But it falls below the other two. Management, what I expect from managers: to be humble, to serve our customers and employees, putting other people first. Again, what I said earlier, don't ever sacrifice quality for profit. Customers will forget a high price, but they'll never forget a bad job. That's something my dad told me long ago. I really think it's true that sometimes if there's a change order you go over, you have to talk to them, and it's more than they wanted to spend, but in the end, if you deliver them a high quality product, that high price, they'll forget about it. But if you do a bad job, that's one thing they'll never forget about. Things we do, working on doing even more, promoting from within, hiring people, a strong character and integrity, not recruiting employees from our competitors. I understand there's situations where someone's working somewhere else and then they come to work for us, but really as a company, it's not the policy of me or any of our managers that we're going out recruiting those people. I know sometimes we send out blanket postcards or a blanket ad. That's a little bit harder for me to draw the line there, but where I can draw the line for sure is that we're not going out and singling out people, picking them out and trying to pull them away from something. If they're out looking, we want to show ourselves as an option, but we're not. If they're somewhere else, we're not trying to pick pick people off from other people. And then not holding people back with a college degree was the last thing there. That one thing I like about this industry, our company, is that you can take someone straight out of high school, we can teach them a skill, him or her. 3 or 4 years later, they can become a journeyman at the top of their trade, and at that point, they have the ability to earn more than the median U.S. income. That we can do that for someone, to take them if they've got the skill, desire to work, that we can provide them with a career that gets them above in the top half of the population, and even go much higher than that. So that's something I really like about this industry. Critical leadership behaviors, I'll touch on real quick, things that are important for leaders. Humility, admitting mistakes when they occur, accepting and learning from criticism, share mistakes as teachable moments, don't try to hide them. It's if you have that trust built up with people, say, look, I goofed on this, I'm telling you guys so that you don't goof on it on the same thing tomorrow. But that takes some humility to be able to admit that I made a mistake on this. Empowering followers, teaching them the skills they need to do well. Acts of courage, taking personal risks for the greater good. That kind of goes along with that. Acts of humility. I think the battery's died here. And then setting expectations and help that everyone achieve those expectations. This is an area we could probably do better on. That what are our expectations for a project? Gary Pearson, and some of you guys remember him, worked for him. He was the field operations manager when my dad started the company, around for 20 years, kind of old school in the way he did everything, but did it well. And one of the things he used to say and was that when people would ask, how much time do I have in this job, or how quickly do I need to get it done? And he used to tell them, just do it as good as you can, as fast as you can, and if it's any different, I'll let you know. That was good and bad. And we still adhere to that in some respects, that we're not there, or I don't want management there beating you guys with the stick to say, here's your job, you have 5 hours to do it, and if you don't, prepare to be punished. That's not what we want to do at all. And that kind of fits with Gary's motto, with what he said was that you just do your job and do it well. The flip side of that is that you don't quite have an expectation there. And yeah, you'll do it well, but how do you know if you've done it kind of well or really well? Or and there does need to be some shared expectation too. That I'll give you an example, that if we just send someone out to do something, some project without an expectation of how long it'll take, and this has happened before, they'll go out and do the most fantastic job ever, do everything they think needs to be done, and at the end we find out that it took them twice as long as we had expected. Well, what happened, and what often happens in these cases, is not that they didn't do a fantastic job. They did a fantastic job, but they got out there and then the customer or someone else said, oh, instead of doing A, you're really doing A and B. Well, the expectation of the project manager, of the person that quoted the job, is you were just going to do A, that they don't know anything at all about B. Get out there and the scope changes, and not on any fault at all on the guys doing the field. Sometimes the customers do it by mistake. Sometimes you run into little more devious ones that come out and say, "Oh no, he said you're really going to do this. I'd ordered a Buick, but you're going to build a Mercedes for me." So that's the shared expectations, that there needs to be something there so that when it comes up and say, "Wait a second, Mike told me, Gino told me, whoever, that this should take 5 hours. There's no way it's going to take 5 hours. Something's wrong." That you have the trigger there. You can call up, and at that point the discussion starts and say, "Oh wait, you're only supposed to be doing this. I need to talk to the customer and find out what this other stuff's about." Clint has this on his wall. I think it's still there. I really like it, and I think it does embody our management style. That it's not about cracking the whip, yelling. That's not the way we choose to motivate. We want to be in there with you guys, part of the team. And that helps us get the mission accomplished. So that was the presentation that I gave our managers, project managers a few months ago. But that kind of sets our vision and values for the company. One thing that we are working to do better, always working to do better on, is communication. And the way we've come up to do it, this is kind of a first step, is through this website I call ICO Connections. So it uses the website address ico-inc.us, and as you guys go back to do your safety training, they'll get you logged on. But you can go to this website, you can log on. Right now it just has a few things there, safety manual, a few forms, but it becomes the way that we can add a whole bunch more stuff, and it's still the same way to access it, but we can add more and more stuff to get you more and more information that you guys need in a more timely manner. I'm going to switch here. So this is the page that pulls up when you go to ico-inc.us. It'll ask you to log on. When you do your tools, they'll set you up and show you how to create your account here. I'll log in with mine real quick. Okay, there's not a lot of stuff on it right now, but when I log on, it recognizes that it's me. A little hard to see in the upper left-hand corner there. It has my name. The information that's showing here in the colored blocks is just kind of the out-of-the-box stuff. It's not that important, but later on we can add additional things. It just tells you, right now it's telling you how many people are registered, how many people have registered today, how many people are online. This will change. This is not particularly useful information. This part will change. You can click on team members then. It shows everyone. It'll then show everyone that works for us. Again, we'll change this so you have a little more information, email, phone numbers. If right now, if you try to get a hold of someone, if you don't have it in your phone, you call or text Clint or Gino or call Tammy. This will be a place that it's all centralized. If you're missing a phone number, you can find it real easy. The settings tab is where you can put a little bit of information about yourself if you like. You can actually change the picture that appears next to your name, the avatar. I will tell you, if you're that adventurous, right now it has to be an 80 by 80 pixel picture. So you can't pick the giant picture of yourself right now. It has to be a little bit. That may change, but right now that's what it is. When you sign on, it'll come up as a default lightning bolt there. Reference information. here's where we'll put more and more information. Copies of the employee manual, forms that you guys need a lot of times out in the field, the 401k change form, the W-4 form. You can download a copy of them here. We're not to the point yet that you could fill them out online, but that may be a possibility down the road. I know like the W-4 in particular, it'll actually let you type the stuff in on it if you click on it here. In fact, I'll do it. It will let you, it'll let you fill it out online here. Oh, I guess this PDF reader won't let you do it, but on the right one it will. The problem is the W-4 requires that it has to have a signature, so you have to, even if you fill it out online, you have to print it out. Now, getting it back to us, it can be as simple as you take a picture of it with your phone, email it to Tammy. That's all good. So you don't have to get that piece of paper back to us. So now you're able to get a copy of it, download it, make changes much more easy. And then I've got a tab here with important contacts, names and phone numbers, me, Clint, safety, warehouse, Jeremy. I don't have all the phone numbers in here yet. Kind of rushed this along. It wasn't quite ready for public consumption, but this provided the real easy way to get you all used to logging in and get you a login so that as we add this stuff, it'll just magically appear. One good thing about this website and how it's built is it'll work just fine on the computer like I'm doing, but it'll also work equally as well on your phone. So it's easy to see all this stuff on your phone, which is how you'll probably be accessing it most of the time. Things we will add to this is in the coming weeks will be that it could show stuff like vacation hours, scheduling vacation. I envision this as a way that you can look up jobs, look up job information. If you want to know what tools are assigned to your particular website, you'll be able to find that. If you're looking for a specific tool, rather than calling Jeremy, Clint, trying to trace it down, if you know what the tool is, being able to search and find out, hey, it's supposed to be on my job site, or it's on somebody else's job site, that help you find things a little quicker as well. So we'll continue to add to that in the next few weeks, and I think this is a way we could really stay in contact more easily and get you guys information a lot quicker and make it much handier for you. The performance metrics. So here, when I put this down, I gotta log in real quick. So AEP in Oologah was kind of the first project where they really tracked our performance. Day to day, week to week, much more so. Kind of the old way to do it was, how far do you think you are? Well, I think I'm about halfway done, and so they'd move the progress chart to 50%. Theirs they started doing much more advanced than that. I'll say theirs is probably. Is good. It's probably a little bit overkill. We aren't moving clear in that direction, but it did give a good indication with what have you done, what have you earned value for, and we've taken some of those ideas and used them on our site now. Let me zoom this in. So this is for Comanche, and this is kind of a scaled down version of what we did at Oologah. Same customer, so they're looking for some of the same things, but it's scaled down, and I think it's much more useful both for us and for you and for the customer. So in the red here, I know it's probably kind of hard to see, but there are groupings for conduit, cable tray, cable enclosures, and then the green cable terminations, total terminations. What these are called, what they call them is the commodity curves. So for this project, we have 283 conduits, 283 individual conduits they've designated, and then there's 15,000 feet of conduit. It doesn't, at this level, it doesn't break it down into the different sizes, but there's 15,000 feet. And so each week, as they install different conduits, they have numbers, and we just mark them off as complete, and it adds the counts, adds the footages as to how much of it we've completed, and we're able to see very precisely that we've installed 24.1% of the conduit. Same thing with cable, exact same thing. Footages, the number of cable, as we're terminating them, it's counting the ends terminated, it's counting the number of terminations, junction boxes installed, power panels installed, all the same. What we don't want is to have something like this that becomes burdensome. And fortunately, the way we've set it up, it requires more work on the front end, but then we have the cable list. And so on this particular project, Jimmy in the field, working with all the guys, they tell us as they're doing stuff, what they've got done. So all he has to tell us each week is which conduits are installed, which cables are installed, which ones are terminated. And he has all that information easily available. We mark it off in here, it just adds it up and adds to the total. Then what it does then in the blue, again, I'll try to zoom in a little more. So conduit and cable are easy to count, things like that. But then when you say, okay, where are you overall in the project? Always before it's been kind of everyone walk around and scratching their heads, taking their best guess, and you can do pretty good at it. But what this type of system does is that it all flows from the estimate. So when we make an estimate, and I'll show you in a little more detail in a minute how we do that, but every item on a job has labor associated with it. From the lock nut, the coupling, every foot of conduit, every foot of cable, every tie wrap, everything has labor associated with it. Now sometimes the labor associated with it is like 1 or 2 minutes. For cable, a general middle of the road labor unit for cable is 20 hours per 1,000 feet. As the cable gets bigger, that number goes up. Gets smaller, goes down a little bit, but it all has labor units associated with it. So that's how we develop our estimates. So we take that information, we get the job, and it spits out, it says this job, in fact, this job, 24,534 hours. And then what we do tracking wise is we don't have to go and directly account for all those hours. But when Jimmy tells us this conduit's installed, this cable's installed, we have the labor associated with it. So when I say a conduit, when we check off a conduit, it's not one item in this database. A conduit may have 20 items associated with it. It'll have tees and covers and straps and reducing bushings, everything associated with it. So when he does that, he's accumulating all those hours. And that shows up in the earned hours. So as he's marking those off, it's moving them to the column to say, you've done that work, you've earned those hours. Then as a performance judge to see, okay, how are we doing? We look at how many hours you've spent working versus how many hours you've earned. And in this case, I'll tell you that he's earned on this project, say everyone down there, we've earned 6,532 hours. We've worked 7,190. And what this is, so we haven't earned as many hours as work, but this, though, is becoming a tool for us in that it's not that they're not doing well on the project, not that at all, it's that they're doing extra work. So then we're going back, and they're doing a good job of keeping track of change orders, but this then tells us where we're off and how much work we're doing on stuff that's not included as part of the base proposal. And then we're able to go back and we see it right away. We can go to the customer right away and give them that information of where we have change orders. We can get immediate approval on it and get it taken care of right away. One thing I went over with in our management meeting, and I know it doesn't affect you guys quite as much, but you may have noticed working for it in the past. One thing we are really, really horrible at is change orders. I don't like them. Our customers, I guess no one likes change order. Customers don't particularly like them. And we try to bid these jobs when we give our customers a job. Most of the time we do it as a not to exceed. Say, we try to come up with the worst case scenario, try to add a little bit on it and say, here, we can do it for this, it covers the worst case, and they're good with it. And that works really well. The two places where we run into a little bit of problem is sometimes when we have to competitively bid these projects, you can't add that extra in. That they give everyone a scope. We want you to do A, B, C, and D. Well, you put the price on that, and you really don't. There's really not a place to add a little bit of extra to cover that extra like we normally do, so that we could just say, oh, I'll take care of that. The customer wants an extra motor, no problem. We got it. Take care of it. We do that all the time. The problem is that we run into, especially on the bigger projects, is we're doing that. We're doing lots of extra, and we have it built in there. And then we start getting to the end, and we're running closer to our budget than we should have. And then you're trying to remember, okay, well, I think I added an extra motor a month ago, and I did this. It's by not being able to capture it at the time it happens, it makes it so much harder to catch it at the end. So it's one of the things we're working on as managers, to be able to catch those earlier and not necessarily even have to go to the customer with it. Like on this, it'll be too small for you to see, but I've got a change order log here that anytime something extra comes in, we can log it, we can assign the hours to it, and keep track of it that way. And many of these things I'm not charging them for. That there's troubleshooting something. It took 2 guys a day, 20 hours, and on this one, for example, there's some simple ones. There was a box that needed to be grounded differently, so we needed a little extra material, a little extra time to do that. We had to demo some additional conduits. Do that. We'll keep track of that. that's not stuff that I approach the customer with and ask for a change order right there, but I let them know, say, hey, here's what we're doing extra. We both know that there's a little bit of fluff in there, but I want to make you aware of it. Here's what we did, here's what it takes, so that if we do get down to the end and we're starting to run out, that it's much easier for them to go back and give us additional hours. And they also know then that they know where we are performance-wise. So if he knows, oh, I want something extra, we have customers that think this too, that, you know, that, oh, ICO gave us a not to exceed price, it probably has a little bit of extra in it, and I want them to do this, or I expect them to do this as part of it. Well, there are times where we have to come back and say, we can't do that piece of extra because we did this extra earlier on. This just keeps us all on the same page. So this, when I talk about performance, this is the direction we're headed. Again, these are both projects that are much more detailed, but it kind of gives you the idea of how, that's how we can measure performance. I don't know of another way to do it, that we have to lay out there, here's what we expected to do, here's what we did do, how does it line up? And again, I want to stress again that even on this one, it's not a tool that to use to put pressure on you guys in the field feeling like, you know, I got to get this done. That's not the intent. There's naturally going to be a little bit of it that you know what needs to be done. You've got some targets you need to hit, but that's not the intent. The real benefit comes from it, like I said, that when we start to get off, that it triggers that, oh, yeah, I forgot to tell you, this guy asked us to do this, and that's why I'm 100 hours over this week, and so that it becomes real easy then immediately clear it with them and go on. So that's the performance measurement. And then the third thing I want to show you is on our inventory system. And again, it's not quite ready for prime time, but it's getting close. This right here is our internal website. This is not available or not visible to the whole world right now, but so we have our inventory system, our inventory parts that we've always had, and really in the past the only way to look at them, to look them up, was used to be you had to do it just through QuickBooks, had to log in, do that. That was really hard to do. Then we got a little better, and we got it on our internal page. I'll show you. Some of you guys may have seen this or used this. It's on Jeremy's computer. A list you can search. So if you're looking, the problem with this is you have to know how it's in there to search for it. If you're looking for a mini, for example, M-I-N-N-I-E, whoops, nothing. Because whoever entered it in the system didn't call it a mini, they called it a Mineralac. There they are. So this was good. It showed us quantities. It showed us how much they cost. We still use it, but where we're moving towards with it is a true shopping cart system, just like Amazon, just like anyone else uses. This is a commercial product, online store product that then you go in and enter all your stuff in, you enter pictures in, and it allows you to search. You can search by And again, if I typed in mini on here, it wouldn't work because we're still entering it in. Still a little early, but you've got a whole menu structure that if you're looking for conduit, click on conduit. Okay, I want aluminum conduit. You can click on ARC. And then it'll come back and tell you all the different sizes we've got. Tells you the price. That's the price we sell it to our customers for. You can click on it. It tells you how much we have in stock. 5,901 feet. Not sure how we got 1 feet of conduit in stock. Shouldn't have that, but 5,900 feet in stock. And then you can add it to your cart. This, I envision, will allow us to be able to do two things, or kind of three things. If you're out in the field, you want to order stuff, you can do it through here. You can still call up, but if you want to do it through here. This then allows you to see